You are listening to Here Before, Here Now, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast.
Hey there, guys. Colton here with another episode of Here Before, Here Now. I apologize. It's been a couple of months since we did our last episode. The last one, if you may remember, was our conversation with two teenagers from the San Carlos Apache Reservation who are about to embark on a national competition to highlight the importance of MMIW awareness. So that reminds me, I got to check in to see how they did. We talked with them the weekend before. They were supposed to head off to Maryland for that competition. And man, summer, things get so busy. You do things, people are on vacation, this, that, and the other. And I got to see how they did. But to that end, it's been a couple of months since I've talked to you guys. And my gosh, this summer, breaking it down for you for the most part, hasn't been too bad here in Phoenix. I think as we get into August, we just had our hottest day for August ever recorded last week. But June, July, it wasn't too bad. And I think a few times we actually wasted a few of the great days here of not so bad weather by going on a few trips out of town. So I was in California 3 times over the summer, was able to do see a couple of concerts, which was fun. And I've noticed as I've gotten older, I'm not really into like being in the crowd anymore. I just got back a couple weeks ago from a My Chemical Romance show out at Dodger Stadium, and I was happy sitting in the seats and not in the whole entire mosh area where people were like probably having a much better time. But that's how it goes, right? Also, my kid, 5 years old, he started kindergarten a few days ago, which is so crazy to get that milestone of, oh my gosh, I have a child who is in kindergarten now. We've got Meet the Teacher. We've got curriculum night coming up. And I'm just like trying to figure out, wow, stay in the moment, because everything I've seen says all of this goes by so fast. My daughter, she's going to be 2 next month in September. So it's definitely busy at the household. And I am so excited to be talking with you guys again. So my guest today, her name is Jourdan Bennett-Begaye. She is the managing editor of ICT, formerly known as Indian Country Today. And I've been following her work for several years. We've been Instagram friends for quite some time, too. We were just talking about some of the things we post online that get a lot more reaction versus the important journalism stories that we post. And sometimes maybe those will get a handful of clicks and views, whereas we post photos of, like, for instance, me and my dogs, and I'll get like over 1,000 comments or whatever, you know? So it's just funny how it works. Always trying to feed the machine and trying to get those algorithms, those gram likes and things like that. So Jourdan, thank you so much for being here. I know that we've been trying to do this for quite some time now. Of course, our schedules, sometimes they shoot well with each other, sometimes they don't. But we're here now. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I know the job gets in the way sometimes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So yeah, do you want to introduce yourself? I know that you introduce yourself in Navajo quite often when you like do panels. I just watched your panel on healthcare representation inequities, the last newscast with ICT. If you'd like to, that'd be great.
Yeah, sure. Hiatus, Jourdan Bennett-Begaye and Kiani Isha, Madishkini Bashichi, Nakadin and Dashiche, Oze Tachini Nashanella. Hi everyone. I'm Jourdan, and it's great to be here with you, Colton.
Yes. Okay. So what people don't know is we spent about 20 minutes trying to get this podcast started. We have some technical difficulties, some new equipment that we're not really sure how to work. But, you know, you got to roll with the punches. And during our off-camera talk, Jourdan and I were talking about how Mercury is in retrograde.
Yeah, it is. I was like, my sister reminded me. I was like, oh yeah, it's right. This totally makes sense.
Right. So do you kind of like follow that stuff, like, you know, astrology and things like that? I'm just curious.
I do. Yeah, I think I kind of got interested in like in high school, and then college maybe a little bit, but it was just recently when I think maybe about 7, 8 years ago when I started dating somebody, and I started learning more, and I thought,
Yeah.
maybe there's something more to this. And you know, you walk by, like you're walking around the city, you see a tarot reader or palm reader or something, and
Yeah.
then you see stuff on TikTok. You're like, maybe I'll try this out.
I know. I mean, I've definitely paid to have my tarot cards read before. I've paid to see psychics, and you know, sometimes I do this, and before I do it, I get really excited, and then as soon as I sit down, I get a little bit nervous and scared, because it's like, what are they going to say? Are they going to, predict something crazy or just so it's something that some people say it's all for entertainment purposes and value, but still sometimes people might have like real gifts.
Yeah, they do. Well, I feel like we don't understand a lot that's going on, in this universe and in societies. And sometimes some of these things are way older than Western medicine is right now, right?
Yeah.
I know I tried when my sister and I tried the aura reading in New York City last year. We were blown away. I even recorded it just to make sure we can go back and like refer to it. And a lot of stuff that they were saying after they took both of our auras was like, wow, this is kind of creepy. So now she wants to
Yeah.
go back and get it because we're going to New York again. And now I'm like, maybe I should go because it changes depending what's happening in your life. I think they said within the next before like 30 days when you get there and 30 days after. So that's how your aura is affected.
Oh wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And like I said, I mean, it's not like something that I like are just kind of like, tish tosh it or whatever. Because, like when it comes to our cultural beliefs, I mean, as Native people, like there's traditional healers, there's medicine men who, know things more so than other people. So it's these types of practices that always just kind of make me a little bit, nervous.
They do.
Yeah.
No, and I no, it's like I said, there's a lot out there I feel like we don't understand that we're still catching up to.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if you've seen that meme, but there's a meme of a guy, his face, he looks so hesitant and scared, and there's like the text, and it was like when the medicine man is looking into the crystal, and you're just like, have you seen that?
no, I haven't seen that, but I can picture it right now.
Exactly. I'm like, oh, you know what? Exactly. I know what that feeling is. Oh. Anyway, all right, Jourdan, kind of got off topic here, but you are in New Mexico right now. Obviously, this week is a big week for the Indigenous Journalists Association. You are the vice president of that, holding that title as well as being the managing editor of ICT, Indian Country Today. I guess the big question is, what is the landscape like right now when it comes to Indigenous journalism? What are some of the feats and what are some of the challenges?
Mhm. Oh wow, that's definitely a great question.
Right? It's like, I don't
Uh,
know.
yeah. Well, there's a lot. I think it's definitely evolved. For the last few decades, at least from what I've been learning from like my mentor, Mark Trahant, and just a lot of people who have been part of ICT, who are IJA or NAJA presidents. We used to be in the Native American Journalists Association, so NAJA, but now we're IJA. But yeah, a lot of former presidents or even former board members worked for ICT, or I just interacted with them. And from what they're telling me, it's just kind of nice and interesting to see the continuity, the same changes, but also the evolution, not only of the organization, but of Indigenous journalism in general, right? We're still talking about mascots, we're still trying to fight that. And we have, I guess, reporting guides on that. You know, having non-native people tell us stories, how the best way they can do it, and creating the tools that can help them, right? So like I think just recently when I joined the board, they started doing more newsroom trainings. So they would, ABC or CNN would come to us and say like, hey, can we get this? And we charge them a price for it, right? And we have people who are trained in it to tell them like, what is it like reporting Indian country? And so, there's like a handful of us, like maybe several actually, that who can do that training. But we've done like big newsrooms, like I said, NPR, CNN, ABC, New York Times, and just even the tinier newsrooms who probably have like an Indigenous affairs beat and who want to get better at that. But overall, the whole Indigenous journalism field, it's definitely, I feel like it's kind of worked hand in hand with like entertainment in Hollywood, right? Where the representation has increased with film and TV shows and music. And, journalism has kind of, yeah, been like partners in that and trying to see that. And I know for a while, I was kind of worried that we were the flavor of the month
Mm-hmm.
and that people would take an interest in it for like a decade and then leave. But I feel like it's starting to stick now because people are starting to see not only the value in it, but the long-term investment that's needed because our communities are so complicated, right? Like they don't understand that like there's tribal jurisdiction involved. We have governments, we have court systems, we have our own entities work with US entities, and to to tackle all sorts of things from healthcare, the economics to, I don't know, art, what have you. So,
Right.
yeah, it's changing and evolving, I think, in a pretty good way. I mean, of course, nobody's not perfect. So, we try, at least as IJA tries to tackle it as they come along.
And you as the managing editor of ICT, you're based in Washington, D.C. Are there any other Native reporters who are there that you come into contact with or that are based there that also report for other publications?
Yeah, there are actually. Let's see. I think it's AC. He's from Indians.com, so he's there. I see him at a lot of like events, or we run into each other. Just I don't know, out and about in the community. Um, Jennifer, oh, I can't remember her last name. Deerwater. Oh, I'm totally butchering that her last name, but
Sure.
she's there, and she has her own publication, Crushing Colonialism. And then there's Nick Martin, who is a senior editor at National Geographic. So he is a big publication. And I see Nick more because we're also closer in age and we're also friends.
Uh-huh.
So we like talk about, just things that's happening in the community and just, being a Native person in DC and trying to survive out there. We create community that way. So I have a close relationship with him.
What is it like being a native in DC? I mean, obviously, when it comes to our nation's history for indigenous people, obviously you've got
Mhm.
like colonialism that's upended the indigenous way of life hundreds of years ago,
Yeah.
and being in the nation's capital where this kind of like started all that. Like, what's that like?
Yeah. Oh, it's pretty interesting. I feel like when I first moved there, I had like a creepy feeling come upon me because of this history, right? Like
Hmm.
I would see brick buildings everywhere and just like this very cold architecture and something, like I said, I think just knowing innately that this is what happened to our people and we had settlers come in and do these terrible things to us. I think that was what was in conflict with me, right? And when I was finding an apartment, I was thinking, I am not living in a brick building. I refuse to do that because I also kind of had the sense of it kind of looked like the boarding schools around here on the
Hmm.
res on Navajo. And I mean, we grew up around that, and other boarding schools I've seen, they had this very similar architecture. So I just didn't want to do that. I ended up in a brick building apartment
Oh no.
complex. I
I'm
know.
not
I
gonna
was
do
like,
it,
well,
but I'm gonna do it.
yeah, it happened, and I was like,
Yeah.
well, gonna have to get used to it. But well, that was the first thing when I got there. But it's I feel like every native knows each other because we have to work together, and it's super tiny. Even if we don't know one another, we do meet new people every day, so it has that intimate setting. Um, and I think I got there just before the pandemic.
Mm.
And so I kept running into, I mean, people who said, we don't know many Native people here. And I'm like, what? There's a lot.
Yeah.
But I think it's because of the media, you're right. You're talking to so many people in different areas. So you kind of see the diaspora. And I thought, I should kind of like leverage this. And I started hosting mixers just for the Native community, just so they can meet each other on they could be young up to like they've been there for years, just so they can interact. And DC is a very networking place. Like you're not afraid to go up to somebody and say, "Hey, I'm Jourdan. What's your name?"
Yeah.
And the good old question is, "Where are you at? What's your job? What do you do?" That's like the icebreaker.
Right, right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what's it like being there? Because you're from the New Mexico side of
Yes.
the Navajo Nation.
hmm hmm
So what's it like? In two different worlds. I mean, you're back home right now, but when
hmm
you are in DC, like, do you miss certain elements of Navajo, or I don't know what's it like being there?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I miss AC.
Oh,
I miss air conditioner. Yeah.
yeah. Oh man,
Yeah.
tell me about it. It's like a
Yeah.
necessity, right?
Exactly, exactly. But it's not humid here in Mexico, so I'm like, that's fine. And you get kind of used to it. I guess like the convenience is a big thing. Having even just like simple things like delivery or takeout. I'm so spoiled, but that's just what happens.
Yeah.
Um, I think like initially, like when you move to a new place, you kind of miss home. But my parents always told me, "Home's always be here. Just make yourself a community, make yourself comfortable where you're at, and just start getting to know the area, right? So it's funny because I used to miss home so much when I would be there, and now it's kind of have flipped in a
Oh,
way.
okay.
So now when I'm here, I'm like, oh,
I want my Uber
I
Eats.
miss.
Where's my Uber Eats?
Yes, yeah, and I have like a lot more friends there now. I have a
Yeah.
community. I have a routine. I go to dance classes every week, and I'm like, I miss that. But then I think it was probably this year or last year when I would go back and forth quite a bit. I thought, I need to stop complaining and just like be in the moment and
Yeah.
enjoy where I'm at because when it's I go back to the other spot, I'm gonna miss it, right? Um, by me, I don't miss the humidity when I'm back home. I'm like, I'd rather do dry heat any day. Although humidity is not too bad because you get used to it after a few years. Um, yeah, there's so many things to do out there. Like I've been doing dance classes every week,
Oh,
so
cool.
the variety of dance classes, there's so much more available in DC. So I've been doing line class classes, more like dance workout classes where they teach us like a minute of choreography and then we memorize it and have to do
Oh,
it
that's
over and
fun.
over.
That's fun.
So I've been doing that for like a year, but I've been wanting to do more salsa and bachata lessons and learn merengue. My grandparents were like huge dancers here growing up, and they used to win dance competitions
Oh,
and
wow.
go to dancing halls, and they learn like the waltz and tango, and we're like, what?
That is
Che?
cool. That is so
Yeah,
cool. Do they dress traditionally? I can just see like,
yeah.
my for my son like, doing the waltz in her traditional garb. That would be so cool.
Exactly. That's a good question. I don't know, but
Yeah.
whenever my sister and I would go around town, and we run into them, they know like, oh, Irene and Ray are your grandparents. We're like, yeah. They're like, and they would always have like a dance memory, and we're like, this is like, but that's just a part of them we didn't know as much until
Yeah.
we got older. But now I'm like, oh, I wish I kind of knew and talked to them more about it. So, but they would go around and yeah, do that. But yeah, I mean, DC, I said it's so much diversity there. There's so much food and people and just, I don't know, just having that in comparison. I mean, New Mexico too is very diverse in its own way,
Yeah.
right? But I was there, I mean, I'm hearing so many different languages that you don't normally hear in New Mexico. And I think that's the coolest part of it. I have an Ethiopian restaurant I go to all the time. It's so good. Even when my family comes in, they say like, "Oh, we have to eat there every
Wow.
time."
That's amazing. I know when I moved to
Yeah.
Albuquerque several years ago, when I moved there for my job at KOB, I think we got there like on a Friday night, and we had just like settled in. We hadn't packed or anything because we beat the movers, and my wife and I we were hungry, so we were like, "Oh, let's go get something to eat." I was like shocked that everything was closed. I was like, "Oh my gosh, where's the nightlife?" And yeah,
Yeah.
I was because I mean, in Phoenix and you got the whole entire Valley area. Even Tucson had a pretty decent one, and like I think we went to Wendy's. We went to Wendy's on our first night
Hmm.
in Albuquerque. So because it was like what maybe 10 o'clock and we were hungry, but I totally understand like what you mean about like the cosmopolitanness of it all. Like, 'cause, I was
Hmm.
born and raised in Phoenix, and I mean, there's a lot to do here too. And I always would come back to like, oh, I really miss this and that, and having there be something to do every weekend. But I mean, the
Hmm.
community of New Mexico is always so amazing. Like, I go back to
Hmm.
visit friends and family pretty often, and I miss the food and I miss the weather because number one, it's way too hot here, and the food isn't
Yeah.
spicy enough. So,
Oh, there you go.
I got to get my green chili fix whenever I can get it. But
Yes, and we have that on record now. See, it's not spicy enough there.
it's not. No, it's not. I mean, I would say like in southern part of Arizona, the Mexican food here is really, really good. Obviously, it's different than New Mexican food, but yes, the hotter the better. I like to ruin my food, is what I like to joke with people. Like I want to like have sweat beads on my upper lip, my forehead, and everything, and that's enjoyable to me.
No, I agree. I agree. Some people are like, no, I can't eat it. I'm like, no, that's how you know it's good is you're
It's how
sweating.
you
And I'm like,
know.
yep, I
Exactly.
want some more.
It's negating all the calories you're putting in because your body is working to actively burn it or something.
Oh,
Stay cool.
100%. I agree.
So being in DC, obviously, I mean, I got to be honest with you. I look at ICT every single day. Like I want to see what's happening in Indian country, what's being covered, and you're right there in the thick of it. I mean, we have all these national policies that are, you know, um, impacting rural communities, native communities, and people and tribes. What's it like
Hmm.
to have that kind of access? Like, I mean, I'm sure that you just walk around sometimes and you see like, oh man, that's that person who's in charge of this, and that's this. I don't know. I'm just kind of idolizing it in my head, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, I guess it is. I definitely like that. And it just depending what story it is, but I mean, oh man, it's sometimes nerve-wracking being there and knowing like, 15 minutes from me, there's the person making all these changes, right? Um, but yeah, I mean, I guess sometimes when you go to restaurants, you do see like a congressional like representative. I'm like, oh, hey, it's so and so, or
Yeah.
there's Nancy Pelosi, or I mean, that's pretty cool to see. I mean, there's a restaurant there. It's called The Diplomat, and people see like Kamala Harris
Oh,
there.
it's
Biden went
like who's
there.
who then, right?
Who's who then? Yeah, yeah, pretty much. But I don't know. I was just telling, well, when Algie passed away too, I remember seeing him on the National Mall, and I'm like, hey, who's that guy? And somebody's walking past me. It's Ozzy, and I'm like, wait, what? What's
Yeah.
going on here? But yeah, I mean, you get to see them at the bars, the restaurants. Well, especially like at the mixers they throw, you see a lot of people there who have a hand, or at least who know what's going on in the political, atmosphere. But at least at those mixers, people talk about it, they don't talk about it. It's a place for a community to connect with one another. So I guess like initially it was like kind of shocking, but then you get used to it after a while, and you just kind of learn to see them as people trying to do the best they can with what they know at the time,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, it's pretty cool for a while. I mean, you see a motorcade go by, and you're like, oh, it's probably the president or vice
Oh,
president.
weird. That's weird,
Yeah,
right? Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
yeah.
Well, that's how I felt living in Albuquerque because obviously, how they have all those films and TV shows being made there. So like you would see a couple of Breaking Bad people like, or I would see Wes Studi just like walking around. So it's like all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, these are just regular people, like, oh hey, that guy is that one dude and he's at the same Whole Foods that I'm at, and they're just like, oh, they got to eat too. you know?
Exactly,
It's so
exactly.
weird.
Well, that's what I like about I think this job. You get to meet all those cool people, but also I mean Santa Fe Any Markets this weekend too,
Oh yeah.
and so my sister and I love going there, and we see again all the celebrities, all the people who do the cool stuff. But
Right.
and we when we have them meet our parents, like, oh, this is our mom and dad, and they're like all starstruck, like, oh my gosh, and we're like, they're just people, they're just our friends.
That's so funny. That is so funny.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not like on that level at all, and I don't pretend or even want to be. But like, it's so weird whenever I go out and about, and sometimes when someone recognizes me, especially if I go back to like Albuquerque or up on Navajo, and just like with my family, and people come up to me like, "Oh my God, this is so weird." They're like, "Oh my gosh, it's you." I'm like, "Well, yeah, it's me." you know, it's like it's weird. It's like, "Oh, I can't believe you're actually here in person." I'm like. I guess I do exist outside of the confines of a screen, but it's I guess it's weird to see that.
It is. Well, I know when I told my parents, I was like, I get to talk to Colton soon. And they're like, wait, what? How long I miss him on
Oh,
our TV screen?
that is so funny. That is so funny.
Mhm.
When it comes to what you do now, like, did you always think you'd be doing this? I mean, managing editor of a huge publication covering Indigenous topics, and
Mhm.
I mean, it seems like good on you. I don't think I would ever want that kind of responsibility.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun, but I never saw myself here. I guess at a certain point I did, but not at this publication. I actually went into school wanting to study sports medicine. So I was like an athletic training like major, and my goal was to be a physician's assistant.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had knee injuries growing up, and I think as a first kid, you're like a firstborn kid of a family, you're like wanting to go into medicine, or your parents expect you to be doctors or lawyers, whatever, change the world. But it was kind of cool too, like studying sports medicine. And I actually took a journalism class, and I don't know, I think it was just so science heavy first, because then we had to take care of athletes and then do our own studies, like go to classes and then do homework after. And my schedule was like 7 to like 9 o'clock. And I had to do homework after that, right? So it was just so time intensive. But then I thought I love reading and writing, and I went to liberal arts school. So I needed to change the scene and choose a class to make up for credits. So I thought I chose a blogging class, which I was like, oh, this is fun. Like, I like to read and write. And I went into it and I got a syllabus and it was news media writing. And
Mm-hmm.
what is this? And
Mm.
my professor started talking about newspapers and the news industry. And I'm like, what did I get myself into? This is not fun.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but then I talked to her after class, and she said, "No, you should stay. Like, I think you'd be really good in it." After we talked for a bit, and I ended up staying and just going through it, and I ended up really liking it. And I was like, "Wow, this is I get to learn new things every day." And but back then I was just so focused on medicine and like sports, and which was fun, but I wanted to learn more, and I just started taking class after class and ended up minoring in English communications. And since I had to do, I couldn't do like internships like during school. I had to do it outside of school, like in the summers. So I started doing like journalism or media internships outside of that. So that's a way I like kind of like made up for my, I guess, like lack of experience, to put it that way. Um, then we had to take the boards, and I just didn't. I missed it by like 5 points, and I think I
Mm.
was at this point where I was like, "Is this really for me?"
Oh, wow.
But yeah, and I started seeing my mentors at that time, like seeing what they went through when they worked for a college or a high school. Ooh, I'm so sorry, something came up, and then just seeing their whole life like kind of catered to like a team, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah, journalism, it just came up like again suddenly, and I just did a fellowship with Naja at the time, and that's what prompted me to go to J school. And then that's what I thought, I think it would be really fun to like focus on like Native people. Because I worked for a non-Native newsroom and I was fine. It was just like harder to pitch a story
Mm-hmm.
that was Native focus, and I don't know, I just had such a hard time. And I was like, I don't want to work for a non-Native newsroom who doesn't have an investment in Native people and in Native communities. So yeah, one day I just saw on Twitter this job opening at ICT because I was like, oh, what's happening here? And I remember reading the job description, and then I thought, I'm made for this because everything I went through was preparing me for that point. So I
Wow.
applied and I got the job 2 weeks later. So I went from Seattle to DC and
Oh
I've
my
been here ever
gosh.
since.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, just to like hear that, I mean, I guess, you just kind of let the universe work out the way it's supposed to then.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I no, you definitely have to. Like I said, I think we can plan so much for ourselves, but it has better things for you down the line. And it's been a fun ride. I've been at the organization for 7 years now. 7 years this month, actually. August 27th, second is my 7 year anniversary, and the longest job I had at any place. So, I don't know. I just love what we do. I love what we cover. And I love just like teaching the world, even our own people, like how different things can impact us in different ways. And in a sense, like indigenizing the news for our communities, right? Like when the Russia-Ukraine war broke out, like I had to think like, how can I teach our people that this affects us too, right? So Alaska's nearby. There's this history with Alaska and Russia and the U.S. And military bases and climate change. So how do we make a story to make that all fit together? That's what I really enjoy about this job.
Wow.
It's so fun, and now you learn a lot in the process too.
That's incredible. And I mean, it shows in the product
Mhm.
that you guys put out. I mean, I think it's incredible to have a daily, like, publication of these stories. I know that you guys had a newscast that used to be daily. Now it's a weekly thing. And I did check out the one that you just hosted for that health inequities. And, these are stories I feel like, get lost on the majority of people here in our country, obviously,
Mhm.
because I think when it comes down to it, you look at the population size of Native people versus like the entire country. Yeah, it's small, but it's not
Mhm.
without like impact, the reporting that you guys put out and that you've put out.
Mhm. Oh no, definitely. I think our reporters do such a great job at seeing a story and knowing the impact and how it could affect everyone or just like Native people in their region. And then ICT has a long legacy of it, right? We've been around for like 44 years, and Tim Gallego saw a vision, and now we're just carrying it through. And then Mark came on and made it more digital and brought it up to the 21st century. Now we're trying to push it even further to keep up that legacy. No, it's a wonderful place to be, and just even to work with other newsrooms too. That's the other favorite part of it, is having these partnerships and them teaching us something and us teaching them something. And also training young journalists too, to like kind of see these stories and push that needle further ahead.
As we wind down,
Mm-hmm.
what is the biggest story that is not being covered right now by the mainstream media that's happening in Indian country?
Oh my goodness.
I know,
Do I
hot
want them
seat.
to scoop me? I know. Do I want
Resubmit.
do I want them to scoop me though?
I know,
Just
right?
kidding.
No, exactly. I'm just taking notes right here. Like, oh, okay, I'm gonna.
Oh my goodness. Well, right now, I think everything this administration's doing, right? How they're changing policies and how those are impacting us at a legal and like law, like, yeah, every single level, local, regional, national. I think we don't have enough of those stories. And we're a small newsroom with a big legacy. And so it's hard for us to keep up too, right? Because there's more to life than politics, right? But there's a lot happening in this area right now. And I think when people dive into this and kind of see the legalities of all of this and how it's affecting us on the policy level, I think it would only amp up the reporting that everyone does in Indigenous communities, because that's the foundation that we need. I mean, every single like young person like I come across, they always ask like, what should I know? I'm like, well, you need to know the treaties, the laws, everything that happened, and that's the foundation. You need to go from there, right? So I think this is that's the coverage that's needed right now.
Wow. Yes. So you certainly have your work cut out for you. I'll let you do it, and
Yeah.
I'll read it every day. Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Now I'll just look at your guys' stories and oh, let's interview that person.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, that works.
Well, Jourdan, thank you so much for speaking with me. I definitely appreciate your time, and the work that you're doing is extremely important. And I'm glad we finally got to talk with each other. No, I've been following you on social media for quite some time now, so it's good to like put a face and voice to the name.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I know. I think we've been trying to plan this for like a month now.
Yeah, it's been a while, and you know what? Like I said,
Yeah.
sometimes you just gotta let the universe coast, and it's supposed to happen when it's supposed to happen.
Yeah, exactly. No, thank you so much for having me on, and I just enjoy the work you do too, and just following your journey.
Yeah.
We're all a fan over here in our
Oh, thank you
household.
so much for that. Yeah, sometimes I wake up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I get to do this. It's like, it's so weird. It's because on my end, this is
Mhm,
what I've always wanted to do, right? So when I get to,
mhm.
I'm actually doing it. It's like, okay, this is really weird, but this is really cool. So
Yeah, exactly. Count those blessings.
I know, right? Well, Jourdan, thank you so much again. Let's talk soon.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Take your hat.
Oh, yeah. All right, guys. Thank you again for listening to this new episode of Here Before, Here Now. My guest, Jourdan Bennett-Begaye, managing editor of ICT. Make sure you check out that website because they do a lot of great work and great reporting. So I need some guests. So if you have some recommendations or think that I should talk to someone, please send them my way. Colton.Shone at azfamily.com. You can also find me on all the socials. All right, that's going to do it for me today. Until next time.
You are listening to Here Before, Here Now, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast.